It's been a fairly typical run-up to the general election. We've seen two quite different styles of campaign. Labour, for example, under the leadership of Jacinda Ardern, is conducting a very positive campaign. Good on them. I, however, am under no such constraints. National claims that a vote for them is a vote for stable government. Stable. That means the same old pack of entitled, has-been senior MPs in Cabinet who think that they are above the rules of the game. National claim that a Labour-Greens coalition government will be chaotic. Let us not forget that in the past 3 elections, National has not been able to form a government without the support of 2 minor parties, both of whom had conflicting policies to National, both of whom have been critical of National, yet both of whom managed to push through their pet policies in return for their support. That is our laws being changed on the say-so of fringe parties representing anything from 1% to 5% of voters between them. But a strong Labour-Greens coalition is the chaotic one. Can you trust a finance minister who refuses to acknowledge what was either a basic accounting error or a deliberate misdirection, refuted by numerous people far more expert in economics than he? Can you respect a Deputy Prime Minister who thinks that some people should be accorded fewer human rights than others? Human rights. The clue is in the words. Is she seriously suggesting that New Zealand, an original signatory of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, should count some people as less than human? Can you have any faith in a Prime Minister who, even now, refuses to own his part in the story of the junior MP who committed an illegal act? Trust, you'll agree, is an important part of any dealings we have with people. We choose our actions according to the level of trust we have in people. People who betray our trust are forever tainted in our eyes. Lying, stealing and cheating all affect the measure of trust a person is given. Our Prime Minister does not have a perfect track record here. In the affair of the illegal recording, he lied to us several times in the course of the narrative, changing his story only when called on the lies. He was complicit in the 2008 lie that National would not be raising GST. What do you know? About a year later, that's exactly what he did. No amount of semantics will excuse the fact that promises were made and broken. The phrase at the time was,
National is not going to be raising GST. National wants to cut taxes, not raise taxes. As if we do a half-decent job as a government at growing our economy, I'm confident that won't be happening and that's not on our agenda.
Yet it happened. So what's the story? Were they lying or simply incompetent? He cheated the taxpayer out of $32,000 by claiming a housing allowance he was not entitled to. Oh, his lawyer told him it was okay, as he'd done some legal sleight of hand to make it look above board. But in his heart, he knew he didn't live in Dipton anymore, and the family home in Karori meant that he was not entitled to claim the $900 a week allowance. National's campaign this year has been rife with half-truths and outright lies. Fiscal hole. I'm sure we can all agree, Stephen Joyce excluded, that this claim was patently false. I'm not sure if the Finance Minister simply made a mistake or if he deliberately closed his eyes and threw the mud, hoping that some of it would stick. It's a tried and true attack politics tactic. It's hard to put the genie back in the bottle, and once the suggestion has been made, there will always be some who, through lack of interest or willful ignorance, continue to believe. Tax, tax, tax. Sure, there are some changes in the tax system, but it's not as dire as they would have us believe. Water tax. It is not huge. It will not cripple agriculture. It is likely to be $20 for 1 million litres of water. The scaremongering is strong on this one. Reversing tax cuts. Labour is not taking $1,000 out of your pockets. They are simply reversing a planned tax break for the highest earners that isn't even in effect yet. In fact, there's an even chance that it wouldn't apply to you anyway. $52,000. That's how much you have to earn to qualify for this break. On $1,000 a week, Would anyone really miss $20? The people really missing out are those who need it most. Kitchen staff, bar staff, baristas, housekeepers, retail assistants, assistant store managers, process and assembly workers, tour guides, waiting staff, machine operators, receptionists, stores people, merchandisers, security, labourers, cleaners, warehouse and distribution workers, administration, butchers, bakers, candlestick makers, beauticians, call centre workers, telesales, traffic management, horticultural workers. That is, everyone essential for all the day-to-day stuff and on average earn less than the median wage. Do you know what they would pocket out of National's generous tax break? 77 cents a week. 77 cents. Not enough to buy a packet of chewing gum, let alone a vote. Tell us about the tax. Labour plans to set up a tax working group once in government to best plan any possible tax changes. As opposition, they are not privy to all the data that would let them set specific values prior to that. It's a responsible move. We've heard just today that they do not plan to act on any of the tax working group's recommendations until the following election. A tax working group is a policy that National itself utilised in 2009, and it is disingenuous of them, bloody cheeky, to criticise Labour for doing exactly the same thing. Funny thing about taxes, despite successive elections campaigning on no new taxes, here are some of the new taxes or charges that they have introduced since 2009. GST increase from 12.5% to 15%. Increased taxes on KiwiSaver. Compulsory student loan repayment increase from 10% to 12%. Increased tertiary fees. The 2012 Paperboy tax. Civil Aviation Authority fees rise. Additional fuel tax increase of 9 cents. Annual CPI increases locked in for perpetuity. Road user charges increased. New annual student loan fees introduced. ACC levy increases. Prescription fees increased by 66%. New online company filing fees imposed on businesses. Expansion of the scope of fringe benefit taxes. Lowering of working for families abatement threshold and increasing the abatement rate. And imposing a $900 family court fee. On the basis of not sticking to promises, of smearing their opponents, of lining their pockets, is this a government that we can trust? Is this a government that we can respect? Is this a government that we can have faith in? In 2008, we were on the cusp of something special and a brighter future. What was that something special? Did I miss it? Or is it still just around the corner, 9 years on? Let's talk social conscience. National has neglected the less fortunate for far too long. Suddenly finding a social conscience at the 11th hour is frankly cynical and insulting to those who truly care. Bill English set a child poverty reduction target, but only after Patrick Gower dragged it out of him word by word during the second leaders' debate. There's a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a nation to raise a generation of them. With food, shelter, healthcare, education, training and support, our nation's children can do wonderful things. Without, you've seen the answer to that. We have an obligation to ensure that conditions are right for our future to reach its potential. It's about more than any one of us. Don't be sucked in by tax cuts for the wealthy or corporate welfare. Don't fall for the myth of trickle-down economics. It doesn't work. You don't build a house by putting the roof up first. You start with a solid foundation. Build from the ground up. In this case, a foundation of equality, education, caring and honesty. A vote for National is a vote for more of the same. Is this what we really want for our country? More half-baked education ideas, more payouts to Saudis in fear of non-existent lawsuits, more bottled water leaving our shores for next to nothing, more lies, more arrogance, more hypocrisy. Do you ever wonder why National spends as much time criticising Labour's policies as promoting their own? Is this what we want more of? Attack politics, negativity, smears. Did their mothers never tell them that if you can't say anything nice about someone, to not say anything at all? The first casualty of war, we're told, is truth. The first casualty of politics, it appears, is decency. If we let these tactics work, we are forgoing proper democracy, in which each party stands on its merits, not propaganda, half-truths and scaremongering. Yes, I recognise the irony of criticising negativity while I point out the failings and misdeeds of National. As I said, Labour is running a positive campaign, and someone's got to tell it like it is. Ignore the attacks and concentrate on what they actually have to offer. You'll notice that I have not been criticising National's policies, merely their record and their tactics. Do we want more of this? Think about those things. Vote with your conscience, not your wallet. It'll make New Zealand a better place. Vote against this stale, entitled government we have. Vote for change. I know it's not some slick Hollywood production, and I'm not likely to be nominated for an Oscar anytime soon, but I feel strongly about the way National treats people. I thought it was time to call them on some of their bullshit. If any of what I've said resonates with you, please share this video.